We humans have a big misconception that we are the only species who were fit enough to survive and flourish in accordance with Darwin's theory of evolution, the survival of the fittest. We are no different than any other species on this planet Earth. Every single species is programmed the same way to survive, to reproduce, and to sustain. And every species has its own capabilities with which it does all these functions, according to this theory. The species we see today, along with humans, have survived through the tests of time by adapting, developing, and evolving. Only the species who were fit enough survived, and others went extinct. All the developments have happened due to one and only reason, and that is survival. We needed to survive in the jungle, and we needed food and shelter in order to do so. That has brought us into the societies we live in today. Being an adaptive species, we learned how to hunt while being safe. We learned how to protect ourselves from the environment. We kept on searching for ways to secure our basic necessities of life, like food, and that led us to discover agriculture. And we were able to grow our own food for the first time. And the daily quest for food, for survival was fulfilled. We became a very distinct species, and we left every other behind at that point. Development of agriculture was a turning point in human history, and we have never looked back since then. At the time when we were hunter-gatherers, we learned how to operate and live in a group. We learned how to hunt together, how to share food, and how to raise the families together. In a group, everyone knew each other and cared for each other. And when we found a way to grow food, all of a sudden, we changed from hunter-gatherers to settlers. We no longer had to wander around in search of food while being hungry for days. We started to look for fertile lands, mainly along the riverbanks, and started building settlements there. With the development of agriculture, all of a sudden we had surplus food. And then we started thinking about what to do with the surplus food. The question was, who is keeping that? And that question is still a question till today, after so many centuries. The problem was how to decide who gets how much to keep. Everyone wanted more, as they knew that they were not wandering around for food anymore, and they had to secure the food for the next day. The days changed into weeks, the weeks into months, and the months into years. We are still securing not only enough for our own lifetimes, but also for our next generations. Like we believe they are not going to be able to make their own living, or maybe there is not going to be enough left, as the others are going to take it. So we started to look for more, for the fair share, we named it, and we always failed to have the fair share. And we started changing our group structures to tiered societies, where the surplus food was distributed according to the functionality of an individual. Some smaller subgroups started to arise within the same society based on these functions, and we started to see friction among the various groups for the same reason, for the fair distribution of the resources. Until today, we are struggling to achieve that, the fair distribution of resources. This friction led to conflicts and wars among groups, tribes, villages, empires, nations, and then the whole world at one point. And all the conflicts we see today on every country on our planet is due to the unfair distribution of resources. It all started with the grains, and the way it is going, it looks like it is going to end with the same. The day we knew that there is value in commodities we possess, the grains being the first one, our whole attitude towards the rest of the world changed. We experienced the self for the first time. Before agriculture came into play, we worked as a group and everything was shared, from the efforts to the distribution of food. There was no hierarchical dominance of man. Females ran the show and did very well. There was enough food for everyone, and there was no hoarding or storage of food. Everyone had to put in the efforts for the next kill so they could eat again. The issue of fair distribution of surplus opened a whole new avenue for us, and we started seeking out more and more resources. And it has led us humans into progress and chaos at the same time. We started with food, but moved on to every possible commodity and resource on this planet that can be considered worth something, can be traded for more food and other commodities. And we became hoarders instead of gatherers. We have evolved no differently than some other organisms who live in colonies like the bees and the ants. These organisms live in monarchical societies where everyone's role is predetermined. There is a storage and distribution of food among the individuals according to their input into the colony. Due to this factor, these colonies work as functioning superorganisms that exist as a separate entity. We humans have evolved into similar colonies we call cities. That is no different than a beehive, which is a functioning colony of honeybees. So technically, like every other species, we have evolved in such a way that ensures our survival as a species. If we look at the other species that exist today, all of them have thrived through the tests of time. We have done nothing different than any other species. Every single one of them had the abilities and the resources. That is the only reason they are alive today. They had their own ways as per the rules of the nature that applied to them and their environments. We, on the other hand, were not just flexible to the environment. We made the environment flexible enough to support us. We are the Homo sapiens, the wise ones, and the only thing that differentiates us from the rest of the flora and fauna of this planet is the consciousness and the wisdom we carry. We are able to observe change, learn and teach the measures we took, and we term those as adaptations. Our brain structure allows us to memorize things that have helped us develop tools and procedures, and we pass on all the knowledge to the next generation. And we kept on innovating on the baseline provided by our ancestors. We have done miracles in so many fields like philosophy, art, music, sports, innovations, and so on. But the way we behave in a society, the way we interact with others, the emotions we carry, the flaws we possess, and everything that makes us human hasn't changed much since day one. We established a moral code for carrying out these functions called trading and earning, but never succeeded in developing virtues like generosity and satisfaction. We failed to overcome the greed that we were exposed to millions of years ago. The quest, which started with the trade of grain, moved on to the cattle and livestock, then pieces of land. At some point in history, everything that we humans could take hold of was being traded for precious metals, coins, or any other form of money. It got to a point that humans were sold by humans to the humans as a commodity, and this has been the case for centuries. And its shadows we saw in the last century as well. The term trade became in charge of the planet's economics and eventually governance. The race for the resources that started thousands of years ago is still on, and it looks like it will end with the end of the resources. We evolved while learning how to survive, but when survival was secured, we started the quest for supremacy over other humans. And we took any measure and any means possible to defeat others. We have seen from recorded history that no one has been able to win over the world yet. The biggest of empires and greatest of kings have been lost in the dusts of time. The ones who forgot the ultimate truth, that the death is inevitable, and ones who think the same today will face the same destiny. Mother Nature does not give any incentives to the people with the money and the resources. The laws of universe apply the same to every living organism on this planet. Our planet has become a giant market where everything is for sale, including the earth itself. We are on a race to suck out every possible resource out of earth and sell every possible thing or a thought and make a profit. A profit that is useful only when we are alive. The trade is becoming the only act of the human race. The banks, the trading companies, the stock markets, the digital currencies, etc. are the modern terms to handle this very act of trade. And we, the Homo sapiens, are becoming traders. It is quite evident from the chaotic and disturbing history we possess. We humans definitely were not designed for handling the economics of our earth. We entered a wrong race by watching others doing it, and no one wanted to fall behind. We never took a pause and gave it a thought that why do we need money? How much we need? What is a fair share? And what measures one should take to earn it? We let money become the puppet master of the world, to which all the strings are attached. The strings to almost everything around us, including the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. The system invented for our survival is putting our survival in question today. And we blindly keep on chasing the mirage, knowing that it is not there, knowing that this is not the quest we are on, knowing that there are so many more important issues where we humans can make an impact, knowing that we are going to leave this planet one day and we should leave it in a better shape than we got it, knowing that we are the only species capable of doing so, knowing that while living our lives, earning, spending, trading, securing for the next generation, we do need to give the essential knowledge to our kids to guide them to be as human as they can be, without so many strings attached that we failed to get rid of, and showing them the right path that can make this human experience worth having, and knowing that for giving out our one and only performance on this grand stage, all we have got is one chance.